everybody, welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie, we all know, and these other little ebooks here where you can find that, all my merchandise, my Patreon, the Cocktail of the Day, everything, the book, all go down, fiddle about, check it out, because there's some awesome stuff down there. I've got some really fun, tongue-in-cheek merchandise with Steve Jones, Lars Ulrich, stuff like that. So go down, you guys, check it out. You're going to like it. Speaking of liking it, thank you guys always, as usual, for all the love, all the support, all the amazing friendships, everything. And you guys, don't give up on me. I know some of you have emailed me, and it does take me a long time. But you guys have to understand, I have a life. I'm going through a lot of shit. And some days, holding my head up is impossible. So trying to be social and answer an email, an even bigger task. So I'm sorry if I haven't answered your email, you guys. I am human, and some days it's just a lot for me, okay? But that's beside the point. We have an amazing community here, and welcome to the new members. Get to know us. We've got a lot of really cool people, and I hope you enjoy. Pull up a chair, binge watch, and while you're watching, you guys, just watch a commercial or two. Seriously, that's all it takes. I'm not asking to spend money. I'm asking to spend 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Support the channel. I mean, support it in other ways, but easy and free. So, all right. But as usual, you guys, thank you so, so much. I really, truly am thankful for everybody here. So, but today's topic, speaking of our community, we're going to talk about another girl who was part of the rock and roll community, part of the sexually oriented business community like I was. We're going to talk about a woman that not a lot of people may know. A lot of rockers may know who she is or stuff like that. But she was also kind of an example of what really went on behind the seedy doors of the Playboy Mansion. How exploited, how degraded, how much these women were treated as nothing more than a commodity and play toys. We're going to talk about in 1979, I think it was 79, 78. Oh no, 77, I believe. Playboy Centerfold and Groupie, because I think she was a groupie before she came to Playboy. We're going to talk about Star Stowe. That's right. Like I said, some of you may not have heard of her, but that's why we're going to talk about her, because she needs to be heard. She still needs our help to this day. So, but today's cocktail, we are going to do a little one from our local, the Hive Winery, called the Sweet Alice. A nice peach turmeric, and really great. I love all of our locals, and I love supporting our locals. The Hive Winery has been an amazing, amazing winery and distillery and stuff for this town, not just flavor-wise, not just for the economy, but for the community. They rock. So everybody, you're going to love this stuff. Look for the Hive Winery. Look for this Sweet Alice. It's a nice peach and turmeric. They've had to re-record, so I've already filmed it. So you guys, grab your Sweet Alice's, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. This is so good. I love that kind of bitterness that the turmeric brings to it, but this sweetness of the peach is kind of brought down by that, and it's not overdone with the apple and stuff. It is so delicious, you guys. So if you see anything from these guys, check it out. All right. So Star she was born in Arkansas, in Little Rock, which I'm thinking she must have been a groupie there, because you had Sweet Connie in the 70s, and Sweet Connie was huge, and she was iconic, obviously, and she was experiencing, you know, Sweet Connie. She's doing her act, the whole song and stuff. So I think that possibly Star might have hung out with musicians before she left Little Rock. Now, she decided to leave Little Rock at like 17 or 18 and go to Las Vegas. And who does she meet? Who does she run into in Las Vegas? Gene Simmons. And this is in their makeup day. Now, this was all inspired because I watched those Playboy murders on Prime, and she was one of the topics. So she was like, they were like, how she recognized Gene Simmons. Because, sweetie, when you are a groupie, you recognize a rock star. It doesn't matter if they are Slipknot or whoever that wears the masks, or King Diamond, or Kiss in their makeup days. You recognize each other. A groupie recognizes her rock star recognizes her groupie. So pretty sure that Little Miss Star was a groupie before she left Little Rock. Something tells me. So she met Gene, but she had also hung out with the likes before being in Playboy. She had hung out with the likes of Elton John. She had hung out with the likes of Rod Stewart and many others. So I think Playboy was secondary, and that makes sense to me because I was a groupie before I was a stripper. The rockers never looked at me like a stripper. They just saw me as the groupie, the road family, this chick they knew on the road, not some stripper that was disposable. So that's kind of, I think she was a groupie before she became a Playboy centerfold. And when she met Gene, like, it just became, like, that was her chemistry. They just hit the ground running. It was just like they were fast friends. She was really close with the whole band. There's photo shoots and stuff with her with the band. And then Gene sent in her picture for Playboy to consider, which you get thousands and thousands of Playboy audition pictures a month, let alone in a year. But when you have someone like Gene Simmons, and especially in the 70s, yeah, Playboy is going to spend a little extra attention and time wondering what is so special, what kind of girl Gene Simmons from Kiss has sent in. Because Gene was no stranger to the Playboy Mansion at this time. He was a very welcome, frequent guest before he met Star and after they started their relationship. So he sends it in. She gets to be centerfold. And this is where the seedy, disgusting, just pimpish ways of the Playboy Mansion, because it is. They are pushers, they are groomers, they are pimps. Hugh Hefner was the ultimate pimp, and he got praised for it. He was the ultimate manipulator to market himself and the Playboy lifestyle and the magazine, which sold the magazine. Because you couldn't have, with Playboy, you had the lifestyle that made the magazine really what it was and made these women so mythical. So she does this really rockin' photo shoot. She's got the guitar. She is labeled as the groupie. Everything she talks about in that article of hanging out with bands was true. That was her life. It wasn't like the other Playboy models who had been molded to fit this Playboy style. That Playboy shoot that Star did was molded to fit who she was, because she was already that phenomenal, and she had that extra, it's something that just drew everybody in and wanted her and made her desire. But she was so young. She was only 19. So I'm assuming she was around 18 probably when she met Gene. Possibly younger. I'm not to judge. I was in high school when I started hanging out with bands. But so she was just kind of thrust into this world. And once you become a centerfold and a playmate, it is expected that you are for half and half only. And you will come to him on a schedule at least 2-3 nights a week. This is not only said in this documentary about the Playboy murders, but this was also said in other books like Holly's and stuff like that, Holly Madison. So she was just kind of really early on at an early age. She was groomed by the Playboy Mansion. And she was given drugs and quaaludes by Hef. And that was how they had their first encounter. She didn't want to be with him. It was not particularly joyful for her. It was not something she wanted to do, but she understood it's something she had to do if she wanted to maintain that playmate lifestyle, which we all know isn't that great. So, and then she had to deal with the fact that she became Playmate of the Year, but having said that, for the next year, there's a whole new crowd of girls coming in. Of course there's going to be. They've got to refresh. They're not going to have the same girls over and over and over for the next year. They need to find. So, she's coming to terms with what being part of the Playboy family really is, and it's being a personal toy. And if Hef wants you to go and service another gentleman and do what he wants, and he's going to give you quaaludes, and he's going to get you drunk, and he's going to make you think it's okay that you're a goddess, that they want you, and to give your body to a man like this is doing a huge service, and you're being worshipped. And it's all bullshit. Because what ended up happening in the long run is, of course, with the new crop of girls coming, how the mighty must fall. And she fell out of favor. And this woman who was even so, had even Hugh Hefner mesmerized, which Hugh Hefner has girls coming and going, they're a dime a dozen. So to have someone that mesmerizes him is once in a blue moon. There's been such a few, handful or two in the time of Hef's existence with Playboy that have mesmerized him. It's very, very rare. But what happened is Star, she still thought she had this power, even with the new crop of girls coming in. She didn't have the clout with Hef that she used to have. She wasn't Playboy Maid of the Year. She wasn't a centerfold anymore. She wasn't out doing she was really a workhorse doing all the features, out there doing this autographs, the signings, but she was becoming more drugged up because what she realized is during all these shows she was doing, all these in-persons, all the stuff she was doing to promote Playboy all over the world was because she had started out originally in Playboy Italy, I believe. But it also came with the fact that she had to service men for the pay. So there was one night particularly where she still felt she was on her pedestal and Hef was pissing her off, so she basically told him off. Well, the next morning she was out of that mansion. Her lifestyle was over. Her income was over. Everything was over. Done. Cut off just like that because, as we all know, the women of Playboy were nothing more than Hef's commodity. How else did he make his money? By pimping out women. Because, as we all know, I've said it before, that Playboy is nothing but a huge medium line, not streetwalker price, but not Heidi Fleiss price of hookers. That's what they are. It's a hooker catalog, basically. And this story with Star pretty much proves it. Because even in the 70s, being a playmate was everything. It was the most prestigious a sexy woman could be, But so after all this, she decided to go back to Vegas and she met a guy. Got married, they had a son. And she was stripping and dancing and stuff and, doing whatever she was doing. She still had her drug habit of cocaine that she had acquired at the Playboy Mansion, like so many playmates do. Because they feel they need to be drugged up to live up to Hugh Hefner's expectations. Which were no more than a street pimp's, to be honest. So she goes there and then she gets involved with this guy who is no more than what Hugh Hefner was to her. She was his commodity. She might have been his wife, but she was nothing more than a commodity to him. Because 2 days after they had their kid, he shoves her off back to the strip club, says, you need to make money. You've had too much time off. Lord knows she was probably dancing right up until her pregnancy, which I have actually seen that happen. There was one girl that I worked with, and she wore a corset to try and hide it. She was real tiny, so she didn't get real big, kind of tall and lanky, and she had this one customer that just pretty much paid her bills. So this would be something that would be common in the strip world, believe it or not. But he forced her to go back to work. Most girls would have saved up the money to have a few months off at least to get their body back, get the baby settled, get into the routine, blah, blah, blah. But no, he forced her back to work. They ended up getting a divorce. She was doing feature shows, but she was also finding those feature shows were drying up. And the money was drying up, even with the Playboy name attached to her. She's a former Playboy centerfold. She's Playmate of the Year, whatever. So this is drying up because she's getting older. And like I said, new Playboy models come in every year. There's a new batch and the old ones are forgotten about. The old, forgotten. How many do we actually remember of the years of Playboy models, not many. So she moved down to Florida, and she ended up sending her son back to Arkansas to be raised by her parents, because she was like, I have a drug problem, I'm a stripper, I can't do this, I'm a hooker, basically, because she quit dancing because they just finally stopped her. She was turned away at strip clubs after a while into her 30s because she was looking like crap from the drug abuse, and she was prostituting on top of it, but she couldn't get top dollar anymore. So for years and years and years, she prostituted. I mean, she was over and done with and kicked out of the Playboy Mansion by the time she was 20. So she had this few years where she was just on top of the world, and it was yanked so quick from her. And most Playboy models don't prepare for this. They don't prepare for a future. They didn't have that many opportunities back then. And Star was definitely one that did not have a ton of opportunities, because the opportunities she had, when she had them, she fucked off to Hugh Hefner, and he took them all away, because that was the misogynistic world that was the 1970s Playboy, and the 80s, the 90s, 2000s. It was still a misogynistic world. We've seen Hugh Hefner force himself on Linda Lovelace, Queen of Deep Throat, the movie. So I think Star was pretty much a big victim of that. And then one night she had been arrested for drugs, spent some time in jail, decided she could not wait to go back to Arkansas to her family. She was going to get her life together. And she was in her 40s by this point, still doing the street prostitute thing, and got into a car, and that was the last that was seen of her. I believe her body was found strangled, and she was behind a Circle K convenience store, I think. And then they kind of wondered if it was this one serial killer, if it was her boyfriend at the time, the ex-boyfriend that was obsessed with her, that had been sending weird messages to her and stuff, and threats, and showing up at her hotel room, whatever, wherever she lived. But she was out there prostituting and lost her life, got in a car one night, and that was it. She had so many hopeful plans. She had this just shooting star of an existence. Really, truly, literally shooting star, because we know it's brilliant, it's amazing. We're all mesmerized by it. We watch it, and then it's gone, and you're like, oh, huh. That was cool. But I don't think, because she was so young when she was thrust into the Playboy world, that she just didn't have any idea of how to handle it, or how to make it so she could parlay it into more. I think she was just really at the mercy of Hugh Hefner, the pimp. You know, because that's what he was. Let's face it. In my opinion, that's what Hugh Hefner always was. It was a marketing ploy. He was never this great man. It wasn't a great world, as we've seen Playboy model after Playboy model talk about. But she really was a victim of all that, and not knowing what to do, not giving the proper guidance to expand. And when she had a chance to expand, Hugh took it all away just like that, because that's how powerful he was. And not because people respected him, because he had blackmail secrets from the Playboy Mansion. That's why he was so powerful. And that's why so many women fell in very, very such dark areas due to the Playboy Mansion. But I think Star really needs to be brought back to life, because she did have an amazing life. She did travel all over the world. She got to live. But unfortunately, the drugs, the alcohol that she had to take to comply with the Playboy lifestyle that Hugh Hefner pimped her out for, got the best of her. I think she could have really done, because she was bold, she was beautiful, she was intelligent. She just fell to that one dip in the road, and that was called the Playboy life. So anybody who happens to live in Florida or might have been part of Playboy back then, if you know anything about this murder, if you were on the streets with her, if you knew her, help find the answers to who murdered her, to end her. Because This is still a cold case. And she deserves that justice. And her soul deserves to be put to rest. So, because she's still a beautiful star up there hanging out. She's having a good time with some people, I can tell you right now. All right, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for all the love and support, everything that you guys do, that you bring to this channel. And any suggestions of what you guys want to see on this channel, topics you want me to cover, put down in that description, guys, because I'm always doing things that you guys ask. I'm here for you guys because of you guys I'm here. So I always love to give back, and I'm going to be giving back a lot more soon, but to my members and my subscribers. So those of you that are haunting the channel, that are just curious, poking around, poke my bells. They're fun. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit the share. Let's get me out there, okay, you guys? Because it's important to keep this channel growing. Because I'm not going to give you any rock and roll bullshit. I'm not going to paint you some almost famous fairy tale. This is real rock and roll. This is real groupie life. This is real women taking their balls in their own hands and making their life what it is and not succumbing to the pimps of the world like Hugh Hefner. So, there you guys go. Hit my bells. We'll see you next time here on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.